Hey everyone, how's it going? So if you've been on Pokemon YouTube in the last while, you have almost definitely at least seen people who do the Nuzlocke challenge. Now, I have known about this challenge for many years, and yet, up to this point, had never really seriously attempted to do one myself. However, since it is a Pokemon challenge and it does look kind of fun, I decided to try one, but like always, it had to be with a little bit of a twist. But before I do, if you do like my content, liking, subscribing, leaving a comment, it is really helpful. Last time I asked, I got a huge boost in engagement. So first off, thank you guys so much. You're really helping the channel grow. And you know what? If we hit 500,000 subs by the time Scarlet and Violet come out, I will do an entire month where I upload a video every single day. But for now, let's get back to the video. I'm going to be playing Pokemon Emerald, the same game you know and love. However, @sign, who is behind some of the most famous Pokemon mods on YouTube, he works very closely with Smallant and other very large creators, made this version of Emerald where every trainer battle is a double battle, making this game similar to Pokemon Coliseum, one of my favorite games ever. With that said, I'm about to pick my starter, and I decide to go for Torchic. Why? Well, in order to understand that, let's explain what a Nuzlocke is, since I've never done one before. Thankfully, there's really only 2 rules that make something a Nuzlocke. The first relates to what Pokemon you can catch. Notice, I didn't save and reset for that Torchic. I had to just get the first one. Why is that? Well, according to Nuzlocke rules, every time you enter a route, you are only allowed to catch the very first Pokemon you encounter. If you run away, choose not to catch it, you can do that, but then you can't catch any Pokemon on that route, which makes team building very interesting and very random. But the second and more famous rule of Nuzlocking is that if a Pokemon faints, it is done. It cannot be used for the rest of the run. A lot of people release it. I have a special box with a volcano theme called Hiffle, and I always thought that was really funny. But those are really the only 2 major Nuzlocke rules. Everything else is a matter of preference, such as me not using items, set mode in battle, no glitches or cheating, you know, the standard Jrose 11 rules. And that should explain everything about this run. Let's get to how it actually went. So after defeating Rival 1 and getting access to Pokeballs, on Route 101, I catch a Poochyena. Not super useful, but there's not a lot of useful things on 101 anyway. On Route 103, just north of Oldale Town, I caught a Wingull, and this is a good time to mention, why did I pick a Torchic? Torchic is terrible for the first gym Roxanne. Well, I looked at the Hoendex and I realized there really aren't many good fire or fighting Pokemon. Combuskin would qualify as both, and thanks to some luck, we have at least one Pokemon with water moves, albeit one that is weak to rock. I'm thinking if I can get past Roxanne, we should be fine. On Route 102, I catch a Wurmple. This is what I'd prefer on Route 101 because I wanted a Lotad, but Wurmple can evolve into either Silcoon or Cascoon. Not sure what I'm going to get, but could be useful in the early game. Speaking of which, once we get west of Petalburg City, we can catch a Tailo. Meryl was another option, but Tailo will be more useful just after Roxanne, but of course it can't help me with Roxanne. Next, we enter the Petalburg Woods, and you might see me encounter a Wurmple, but not catch it. Why not? Didn't I say I have to catch the first Pokemon? Well, another optional rule is called Species Clause. This means that when you get a Pokemon of a species, for the rest of the run, that is the only one you're allowed to catch. Although I'd call this an optional rule, it is pretty standard across the Nuzlocking community. It allows for better team diversity in games where there isn't a ton of different Pokemon early on. It also makes things a little bit harder that when your favorite Pokemon faints, you can't just go get another one. Since I already caught a Wurmple, there was a high chance I'd get a grass Pokemon. Unfortunately, we got Slackoth. Slacking is good and all, but with Truant and the fact Slackoth levels up pretty slowly, not my favorite encounter, but that's the fun of a Nuzlocke. Couldn't control what I was going to get, and there's only one more Pokemon available to me before I battle Roxanne, all the way on Route 116. You do have the chance of getting Abra, which would be really bad since it can teleport away, but I get Nincada. Nincada is interesting since it can evolve into both Ninjask and leave Shedinja, which is unique. we will worry about that if it actually gets to evolve. For now, that is the team I have to defeat Roxanne, and it's not ideal. This is part of why I love a double battle challenge. Wingull could easily destroy Roxanne, but I have to pair it with another non-water or grass Pokemon, and that might give one of the Geodude or the Nosepass a chance to attack. That is part of why I thought this challenge would be so interesting to Nuzlocke, and I'm really excited. Unfortunately, that excitement quickly went away when I realized I probably would have to level up a ton to defeat Roxanne. There is a limit though, and that's what makes this Nuzlocke quote-unquote hardcore. All that means is I can't level up past the next gym leader's strongest Pokemon. In this case, it's a level 15 Nosepass, so my Pokemon are not allowed to ever go above level 15 until I defeat Roxanne. While there is a trainer rematch system in Emerald, you actually don't get access to it until you defeat Norman, if you can believe it. So I have to just battle a bunch of wild Pokemon. That's going to take a really long time, but it's a good time to point out another rule I have, which is I do not hack rare candies into the game. A lot of Nuzlockers do this, and I'm very opposed to this. Pokemon can faint while trying to battle wild Pokemon. You may also notice wild Pokemon are single battles. The reason for that was twofold. One, it was easier to program, but two, in a Nuzlocke, getting a choice of two Pokemon, that's very overpowered. And let's face it, I don't think it really matters what the wild Pokemon encounters are. It's the trainer battles we're mostly concerned with, and it does add a little bit of variety, both single battles, double battles. It works really well for me. Now, even at 3 times speed, it took me over an hour to level up all my Pokemon to level 15, or at least near level 15. And let's show you what team I'm going to use. I'm going to equip a bunch of items so you get to see the team. I'm going to lead with Wingull and Poochyena, both of which are at level 15. I have Torchic, Slackoth, and Whismur at high level, just in case one of them faint. And I didn't bother leveling up Nincada, even though I could have. Like I said, it's been almost an hour. Hopefully, my impatience doesn't cost me, but there's only one way to find out. In Emerald, Roxanne has 2 level 12 Geodude that come out at the same time. Wingull is going to go for Water Gun, and Poochyena is going to go for Bite. Water Gun is going to easily one-shot Geodude, and in Gen 3 only, the next Pokemon comes out immediately, which is interesting. Poochyena's Bite does not knock out Geodude, but it misses with Rock Tomb. I don't know who it was targeting. If it was Wingull, that could have been really bad. We're not out of the woods yet, though, not by any means. I use Water Gun against Nosepass, does under half, but we do go first, Bite Geodude, knock it out, so now it's a 2-on-1. Nosepass cooperates and goes for Harden, and I think we just won. We go for Water Gun, but Nosepass acts before Poochyena, hits with Rock Tomb. We survive. I don't know how much HP that is, but it doesn't matter. That went very, very well, all things considered. It's funny, I didn't think I'd really be using Poochyena, and it was the linchpin of this battle, although Lotad would have been better. Who cares? That is one gym leader down, and that allows me to level up a little bit more. Funny enough, I don't actually bother as I battle Brawley, and the reason is I think he's going to be very easy. That Wurmple has become a Beautifly, and with Beautifly and Wingull, I think I can easily make it through Brawley's team because they pretty much just use fighting moves. So I have Wingull attack Machop, and it's a 2-shot. Meditite will pretty much always go for Focus Punch, so I can use my level 13 Beautifly to focus on that. Meditite then gets knocked out by Wingull, and now it's a 2-on-1 versus Makuhita that doesn't have a non-fighting move. But spoiler alert, Makuhita never even attacks me before my level 13 Beautifly and level 17 Wingull knock it out. After taking 90 minutes to get past Roxanne, it took just under 20 to get past Brawley. The next gym leader is Watson, but there's another trainer that's even scarier than he. May 2, one of the hardest trainers in all of Pokemon for challenges. Thankfully, I think I have a good team. I did catch an Oddish in Route 110. However, the Slugma and Lombre, I don't know why I thought the Marshtomp would be out first. That was my bad. So I had to be careful, think about what I was going to do. I decide to try and knock out Slugma. I go for Water Gun, but it only does half. The Lombre goes for Swift, or Nature Power Swift. It does very little, and so does my Bullet Seed, but the Ember from Slugma does a ton to Oddish. Despite the fact I'm also burned, I decide to be aggressive. I decide to knock out Slugma, and like I talked about earlier, Marsh Stomp immediately comes out to replace it. That's not how double battles work anymore. We survive the Nature Power Swift, which only does 50% because it hits both my Pokemon. We use Absorb. It does decent damage to the level 20 Marsh Stomp, but it will heal me and allow me to survive another turn. Unfortunately, Oddish is very unlikely to survive if I leave it in, so I do have to switch it out. I will knock out Lombre with Wing Attack, and I can swap in Mightyena, which has Intimidate, to lower Marsh Stomp's attack. We should be fine. In spite of what I thought, Wing Attack does not one-shot Lombre. Mudshot does hit Mightyena, doesn't do very much, but it would have knocked out Oddish. And Lombre does use Absorb against Wingull. Despite that, Wingull will be able to knock out Lombre the next turn after teaching Oddish Sleep Powder, which is going to be a very useful move going forward, a big reason I like Oddish. I do a little bit of damage to Marsh Stomp, it does a little bit of damage to me, and pretty much everything is at half HP. But once again, it's a 2-on-1. Just to be safe in case of a critical hit, I'm pretty sure it's going to attack Mightyena because it has stronger ground moves. I'm going to swap into Tailo. I use Wing Attack against Marsh Stomp, which doesn't knock it out. It used Water Gun against Wingull. Did not see that coming. Thankfully, I survive. I probably can knock out Marsh Stomp with Tailo's Quick Attack. It actually does survive. Wingull knocks it out, though, with Wing Attack. Not bad at all. The level cap here was level 24, so I probably cut it a little closer than I needed to. But I still think all is good. Rival 2 has been defeated. Now all we need to do to access a much larger part of the game is to go and defeat Watson. Even though I don't have a ground Pokemon, I'm pretty sure Watson should be fine. I lead off with Mightyena and now Gloom. Remember Oddish? It's all grown up. I decide to try and knock out Voltorb because it does have Self-Destruct. That would be pretty bad. I go for Bite and Bullet Seed. Voltorb paralyzes Gloom, but I have a Cherry Berry equipped, anticipating that possibility. Bite does quite a decent amount of damage. Electrike does decent damage with Shockwave to Mightyena. And unfortunately, Bullet Seed does not knock out Voltorb. I'm really hoping it doesn't go for Self-Destruct. Oh, we survive both? Survive. Okay, thanks to Intimidate. This is why I used Mightyena. Even Electrike survives. But that is one down, albeit a lot of HP lost. This does mean Bite will hit Magneton. Magneton obviously resists that. And I do put Electrike to sleep, which isn't bad. Next, I'm going to swap out Mightyena into Combuskin. I'm going to try to put Magneton to sleep, which doesn't happen. Watson healed Electrike, and Shockwave does over half to Combuskin. I decide to keep Combuskin in. Magneton does outspeed, but we survive on probably 1 HP. We do hit with the double kick, but we don't knock out Magneton. We do, however, finally put it to sleep with Gloom. Now, I don't want Combuskin to faint, so I'm going to switch into Loudred, and I'm going to try to gain a little HP back with Absorb. Doesn't do very much, but both Pokemon are still sleeping. I need both Pokemon to stay asleep. Looks like we're going to get that. Bullet Seed does not knock out Magneton, but Loudred's Pound does. Electrike still being asleep. It is 2v2, and all our Pokemon are still up and running. Now we have to deal with the level 24 Manectric. Electrike's still asleep, and it's weaker, so I decide to try and attack and put Manectric to sleep. Unfortunately, Manectric uses Howl. I don't put it to sleep, and Uproar does very, very little. I don't want to swap anything in, so I risk Manectric attacking Loudred, which is exactly what happens. The first loss I've had this entire run. The Whismur, by the way, came from Rusturf Tunnel. I was wrong. There was one more Pokemon before Roxanne I forgot about, which I guess we can do now that it's fainted. I send in my underleveled Vigoroth. It gets hit by Shockwave, and Bullet Seed's not doing all that much. Manectric then knocks out Vigoroth with Shockwave. Uh-oh. I might lose here. I can use Mightyena to lower attack, but I'm not going to be doing enough damage, and Manectric is fast. Thankfully, Electrike's going for Howl, but it's not looking good. Manectric then knocks out Mightyena, which really sucks. It's been such a good member of the team. I have to swap in Combuskin that gets hit by Shockwave, and now it's just Swellow and Gloom. We really need Bullet Seed to knock out Electrike here, and it's looking good. Okay, we have a chance. We've knocked out Electrike, so it's 2-on-1. I go for Quick Attack. I need Manectric to go to sleep. Quick Attack does nothing. Shockwave knocks it out. I have lost 5 useful Pokemon, and it's a one-on-one. I do put Manectric to sleep, so this could be all right. And I forgot about Citrus Berry. I think we lost. Manectric stays asleep turn 1. We get a 3-turn Bullet Seed, but it still has a ton of HP left. Stays asleep turn 2. 2-turn Bullet Seed. It's just at half HP now. It's still asleep, and we get, whoa! 5-turn Bullet Seed, but I think Watson has full restores. And he does have super potions. All right, those aren't full restores, but yeah, this isn't going to work. I anticipate Manectric waking up, which it does. It gets a crit with Quick Attack, but I do put it right back to sleep. I need critical hit Bullet Seed. Absorb's not going to do enough damage. I get a 3-turn, stays asleep. I get a 2-turn. If I get a 5-turn right here, I can win. Unfortunately, Manectric wakes up, goes for Quick Attack, and the final rule of Nuzlockes: if your entire team faints and you white out, it's game over. I failed my first ever Nuzlocke on completely normal Emerald, albeit in double battles. So what can I learn from this experience? Well, I think the biggest thing is not to underlevel my Pokemon, and to recognize that in a double battle, we need to get to that 2-on-1 as quick as possible. Having that Electrike doing a bunch of damage, it really made things difficult. Now, I did do this live on my Twitch stream, and I waited a couple days, but I did try again, and we'll fast forward to Roxanne, but let me introduce you the new team. So, on the routes surrounding Oldale Town, we got Poochyena, Zigzagoon, and Wurmple. We don't have Wingull this time, but I picked Mudkip. It is arguably the best starter Pokemon. We do get a bunch of water Pokemon later, but it will help tremendously versus Roxanne. We still did get Tailo, but this time in Petalburg Forest, we got Shroomish. We caught a Whisper in Rusturf Cave. Whisper is the only Pokemon you can catch in Rusturf Cave. And in Route 116, Abra teleported away from me, which was really sad because it's my favorite Pokemon. But we won't get to use it. And we don't get a Pokemon on Route 116. Now, you may have noticed my Pokemon aren't as over-leveled as last time, but that's okay. I really should only need 2. We're going to use Water Gun against the right Geodude, knock it out. And Shroomish is going to Bullet Seed. 1 hit knocks out the second Geodude. And we should knock out Nosepass in 1 go. We go for Water Gun, but it actually does less than I think. And Bullet Seed, with only a 2-turn, this could be bad. I go for Water Gun again after the Nosepass healed. But just like in the last battle, it misses with Rock Tomb. And Shroomish is able to knock it out with Bullet Seed. So, a little scarier than I was hoping for, but all in all, pretty much the same result as last time. Moving on to Brawley, however, my team isn't nearly as good. We got Dustox this time instead of Beautifly, and we weren't able to catch Wingull, meaning we need to use Marsh Stomp. So I actually leveled up my Pokemon a lot more. Tailo I'm a little worried about because it doesn't resist the fighting moves and it is pretty frail. And in Granite Cave you can see we have an Aeron, which is a good Pokemon. We caught a Zubat last time. You never even saw the Zubat. Now, we do send out Marshtomp and Dustox, and the strategy is kind of the same. Knock out Machop as quick as possible, and make sure Meditite, which will always go for Focus Punch, doesn't land Focus Punch. 150 base power, but it needs to be uninterrupted to attack, which, by the way, is much easier to accomplish in a double battle. It can, however, go for Bulk Up on turn 1. That's the only other thing it can do. They both do that. Machop's at half health. Meditite's just over. This time, I decide to use Dustox to attack Machop with Confusion. Probably should have done that the first time. I can use Mud Shot against Meditite. There is a slight risk of a miss. Thankfully, I don't miss. And Meditite's unable to attack. I didn't want to risk Brawley not using a Super Potion, so I have the Dustox use Confusion against Meditite just in case. I go for Mud Shot against Makuhita. It does decent damage. After Citrus Berry, though, it's pretty much at full HP. This time I swap back. I use Confusion against Makuhita, Mud Shot against Meditite. Makuhita uses Vital Throw. That does a lot of damage to Marshtomp, and I need to think about whether I want to switch here. I decide not to, which might be a bad idea. Meditite's Tightening Focus. Confusion hits Makuhita. Unsurprisingly, it survives. We do knock out Meditite, and Vital Throw, we survive. That was unbelievably risky and dumb. I haven't lost a Pokemon yet, and in fact, we will not. It is 2v1. Even if Brawley heals, there is not much this Makuhita can do. Its speed is lowered, confusion hits, and surprisingly, without losing a Pokemon, we beat Brawley. Alright, Mewtwo is next. It sends out Wingull and Slugma. I actually read the sheet wrong, so I send out Taillow and Marshtomp. Not the greatest team. I use Wing Attack against Wingull, but I am able to one-shot Slugma before it attacks. Marshtomp doesn't need to learn Foresight. I need to switch it out before Grovyle attacks me. I will switch into Dustox, which double resists Absorb. We do knock out Wingull with Wing Attack. It is a 2v1 now. I can use both Gust and Wing Attack, and we don't knock out Grovyle, but it's going to be okay. Taillow knows Quick Attack. That was pretty easy. And speaking of pretty easy, it will be much easier to battle Watson with a ground Pokemon that is immune to electric attacks than what I was trying to do last time. I'm not going to make the same mistakes as last time. I am more prepared to battle him. Let's see if I can get my revenge on the trainer that ended my run. This time we have Marshtomp and Breloom, both at the max level 24. We are going to try to knock out Voltorb before it can do anything, but it actually goes for Rollout, which is fine. Unfortunately, forget to equip a Cherry Berry to Breloom, so it gets paralyzed, which kind of sucks. We will try to knock out Electrite. I go for Mach Punch, but it does heal. And Breloom then gets confused by Magneton. Not a big deal. Manectric is out. We need to knock it out as soon as possible. I hit myself in confusion, and this is looking bad for Breloom. I do lower Manectric's speed with Mud Shot, but I need to swap out Breloom. I will swap out into Dustox because I don't care if it faints, and it actually has really good defenses. Look how little that Shockwave did. Now, I'm going to go for Protect and just start hitting Mud Shot. I knock out Electrike, turn this into a 2-on-1. We talked about how valuable that is. And now I'm going to get aggressive. I don't care if it attacks me. It actually went for Howl. And we're going to knock it out with Mud Shot. That was easy. Holy mackerel. I mean, yes, using a ground Pokemon made that really easy. And it is hard to narrate these double battles. They are chaotic. But at the end of the day, the strategy we used worked to perfection. Breloom got confused, which wasn't great. But we can move on to the rest of the game, catch a bunch of useful Pokemon, and hopefully have an easy time against Flannery, who's a Fire-type gym leader. Before I battle Flannery, I have to do the Team Magma subplot. I have Aron and Marshtomp leading off because, well, Aron resists everything, and Marshtomp's pretty darn good. We do get hit by Sand Attack, but I'm not too worried about what these Pokemon can do to me. I also can swap into Breloom, but we're going to chip away at Mightyena. It is going a little slower than I'd like, and we are starting to miss with Mud Shot, which is annoying, so I might want to swap out soon. Mightyena almost gets knocked out by Mud Shot, but Metal Claw misses, and both Pokemon are at decent HP. I still think Swellow might do a little bit better, so I'm going to swap it in. Maxi heals. We do miss with Mud Shot again, so I'm probably going to have to swap out my Marshtomp. Just too many Sand Attacks. Swellow has Guts, so it is going to get affected. I'm going to swap in Breloom, and I'm going to swap in Lombre. Now, this Lombre was... Uh-oh. Uh-oh! No! That was not good. I didn't think this battle was much of a challenge, and I forgot Zubat had Wing Attack, and they double-teamed and knocked out Breloom. Look at that shock on my face. Breloom was going to be a very important Pokemon going forward into the Elite Four. Clearly, I underestimated Maxi, and spoiler alert, the rest of the battle goes by without much of a problem. But it just goes to show you any battle, even a battle that seems easy, can be difficult. We actually almost lose Lombre to Wing Attack. Holy mackerel. By the way, that Lombre was caught on Route 114 near Meteor Falls, in case you're wondering how I got a Lombre. But thankfully, Camerupt is double weak to Water Gun. And although it takes a couple turns, and we almost lose Swellow and Lombre, we are able to finally knock out Camerupt, get by Maxi. But with a loss to Breloom, I was really upset. And that is why we need to be so careful in these Nuzlockes. It's also why double battle Nuzlockes are hard. I wasn't able to fully control the battlefield, didn't expect the Wing Attack, and that is a mistake that can't happen. It did, and we just have to move on. The key is just not letting the mistakes stack. When one is made, it's done. Oh, Lombre actually is at really low health, but that should be fine. We don't knock out Baltoy, but we use Absorb. We should be good. Baltoy misses. Uh-oh. Oh, no. Okay. So that is now 2 Pokemon I thought would be pretty useful that we've lost in quick succession. So that's bad. It's just a random hiker. Just to gain a little bit more experience, and that's why we don't hack in rare candies. We never know what's going to happen. Always got to be on our toes. We have lost 2 very useful Pokemon, but we have to keep going, like I said. As I get to Laveridge, we now need to move our Pokemon to the Hiffle box. So long, Breloom. So long, Lombre. I had high hopes for you. You actually can see some other Pokemon I've caught. Zubat, Machop, a Spinda. So I have caught a Gulpin. Not very useful Pokemon, but we have them. We also just withdrew Meryl. Not a super useful Pokemon, but it does have the Thick Fat ability, making it probably very useful against Flannery. Now, the level cap for this battle is 29, but I'd beaten all the trainers, and I was starting to get a little frustrated. So I just decided to battle Flannery here. We go with Azumarill and Marshtomp. Azumarill does have Bubble Beam. We Mudshot the Slugma. That's a 1-hit KO. We Bubble Beam the Numel. That's a 1-hit KO. And now we have Camerupt and Torkoal at the same time. We're going to try to knock out the Camerupt. I go for Mudshot. I accidentally misclick and hit Torkoal. And now there's Sunny Day out, but not much other damage is done. I can knock out Camerupt with Mudshot. Bubble Beam's not doing very much. Azumarill's hit by a track, but that's not a big deal. We can go for Mudshot. Azumarill can't attack. Torkoal goes for Body Slam, but no paralysis. Flannery will use a Hyper Potion. By the way, Mudshot is not lowering speed because Torkoal's ability White Smoke doesn't allow its stats to be lowered like that. It is now going for Body Slam against Azumarill. It does paralyze Azumarill, but it is too little, too late. Even at level 24, now level 25, Azumarill and Marshtomp were able easily on their own to knock out all of Flannery's Pokemon. Not terribly surprised by that, but I am a little nervous for the next gym leader, Norman. We have a Slacking to deal with. We don't have our Breloom, our fighting Pokemon, and the only new route we can access is Route 111 in the desert. So yeah, that's not going to be great. We're going to have to level up our Pokemon a lot, and I'm going to use Machoke and Aeron. Unfortunately, the level cap is 31, so I won't be able to get Lairon. And I'm just going to battle all the trainers remaining, including the ones in the gym. That Wigglytuff Double Edge did a lot, so I'm going to swap into Marshtomp. That did a lot to Marshtomp. I don't want to lose Marshtomp. So I'm going to need to maybe swap again. It healed here, but I really don't want to lose Marshtomp. I'll go into Swellow. That should be fine. And I should go for Mudslap just to be careful. There we go. And it goes for Double Edge. It does over half to Swellow. All right, let's just keep swapping through. Numel is next. I caught the Numel in Fiery Path. Camerupt might be used. Oh my god. Well, it might have been useful. That's a lot of leveling up. And we have this Zigzagoon for pickup. I think I should just use that because I don't want any of my Pokemon to faint. Yeah, I mean, I don't think I'll knock it out. There's Metal Claw. So, yeah, that was wonderful. Now Swellow's Quick Attack will knock it out, or Wing Attack. Great. 4 Pokemon lost. And again, this is why I don't use rare candies. You never know what battle could cost you a Pokemon. Of the 4 Pokemon have fainted, only 1 fainted in a major battle, being the Maxi battle, and that's kind of borderline. Alright, so I'm going to skip ahead like an hour, and Machoke's level 31, Aeron's level 31, Marshtomp's level 30. We're ready to go. This is going to be very difficult. I'm very nervous about this, but there's really not much I can do. We just have to hope for the best. Norman leads with Spinda and Vigoroth. I'm going to Karate Chop Spinda, and I need to decide whether I want to Metal Claw Spinda in case it doesn't knock it out, or Vigoroth. This is why I like the way Emerald does double battles. It increases strategy because you can't just use Metal Claw and Spinda, and if it faints, well, you'll just attack Vigoroth because it's the only Pokemon out. That's not how it works in this generation. And I do decide to attack Vigoroth. Good decision, because Spinda gets knocked out. Vigoroth had already hit me with Slash anyways, and it didn't do a lot of damage. Now I need to be very careful, because Linoone does have Belly Drum, which it uses. Vigoroth goes first. Machoke is still at over half HP, and I don't care if it faints. This is the battle I want it for. I use Karate Chop. I do knock out Linoone. Wasn't sure if it'd go for Belly Drum. I needed to make sure it was knocked out. That means Aron will Metal Claw slacking. That's not a big deal. Now, I would swap out Machoke if I was worried about it fainting, but I'm not. I'm going to attack Vigoroth and go for Mud Slap against slacking. The Mud Slap crits. Machoke goes for revenge, and it one-shots Vigoroth. And slacking uses counter on Aron. Because I went for Mud Slap, it did like nothing. Karate Chop crits. Iron Tail hits. That went super, super well. Holy moly, that went way better than it had any right to go. We didn't need to lose any Pokemon. I couldn't have scripted that better. And beating Norman is huge because, as I mentioned, now we can rebattle old trainers, which is something you can also do in Fire Red Leaf Green. I wish it was easier like it was in that game. But we get Surf. That's a multi-hit attack. So much of the game has opened up. All the water routes, all the water Pokemon. This is exciting, guys. But you know what the first thing I want to do is? I want to go to New Mauville. It's a 50-50 chance we get a Magnemite, and we get one. I just have to catch it. That will be super, super useful for Winona, and I don't want to risk knocking it out. Good speed, very good special attack on Magnemite, and Winona is the flying type gym leader. Steel type resists. What a perfect Pokemon to add to my team. I would have been fine with Voltorb, but I'm very happy with this Magnemite. And fast forwarding to after the Weather Institute, here's what my team looks like right now. We have Magneton, Tropius, which we caught on Route 119, and Trapinch, which we caught in the Route 111 desert. We actually had that before Norman. Along with our mainstays, Lairon, Marshtomp, and Swellow, I'm going to go battle Rival 3. Slugma and Lombre might look a little scary, but don't worry. They're not all that scary, especially because it's raining. So, Swellow is going to knock out Lombre with Wing Attack. Magneton, I could teach it Thunderbolt. I just want to make sure it doesn't faint. Spark still knocks out Slugma. That's how powerful Magneton is. And don't forget, in Generation 3, that's still classified as a special move. Lombre did use Fake Out, so Swellow was unable to one-shot it. But that's okay. That just means we'll one-shot Grovyle with Wing Attack. And we can hopefully one-shot Lombre with Spark. No, does about half. That's okay. We'll knock it out right now with Wing Attack. Rival 3, the last mandatory rival in Emerald, unless you count Wally. Magneton's level 31. Swellow, still an integral part of our team. And we haven't lost a Pokemon in hours. I'm pretty happy. That said, Winona's team is pretty diverse, and just using an electric Pokemon isn't going to cut it. I had to level up a lot. Level 33 is the cap, and I needed to use some Pokemon you haven't seen yet. I had a very interesting strategy that I'm very excited to show off, unless it doesn't work, in which case I'll be really upset. But there's only one way to find out. Let's battle Winona. She leads with Swablu and Tropius, or Tropius, not sure. I have Magneton and Tentacool. So I'm going to use Thunderbolt against Swablu, but I'm going to use Ice Beam, which I got from the abandoned ship against Tropius. Thunderbolt one-shot Swablu. It has Perish Song. That would have been bad. And Ice Beam doesn't one-shot Tropius. That's really bad. Altaria has Earthquake. So I need to swap into Swellow because it is my only flying Pokemon. And I'm going to Ice Beam Altaria. Hyper Potion. Unfortunately, it doesn't work out for me. Altaria outspeeds Tentacool. We've lost another Pokemon. And you can see I have Absol on the team now. I'm going to use it. I love Absol. One of my absolute favorite Pokemon. I'm going to use Wing Attack against Tropius. And I think I should just knock it out. Hidden Power is actually Hidden Power Rock. And it's a rebuyable TM. We actually get a critical hit. Tropius is one shot. Earthquake hits Absol, doesn't do that much, and Hidden Power Rock does about half. I think Wing Attack will knock out Pelipper, and I'm going to go for Hidden Power Rock against Altaria. Unfortunately, Pelipper uses Protect, meaning it will be around, Altaria does hit with Earthquake, and while Absol survives, it will not another Earthquake. So I have to swap into Marshtomp. Once again, Pelipper protects, but Earthquake does much less to Marshtomp. Since I didn't have the money to buy Ice Beam from the game corner, I'm just going to use Surf, which is a terrible move. And it does next to nothing. It doesn't even knock out Pelipper. And now Marshtomp is confused. I need to decide what I want to do. And I'm just going to keep it in because anything else will result in a loss. I do knock out Pelipper. Skarmory comes out next. Earthquake hits, and Marshtomp does knock itself out in confusion. That was bad, but I didn't want to lose Lairon or Magneton, both of which are double weak to Earthquake. I think I need to swap Magneton in now and just sacrifice it, which I'm not happy about at all. I don't see another play. It should one-shot Skarmory, but I messed this fight up badly. Wait! It survived Earthquake! Hold on a minute! Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, I can save Magneton, but I need to decide something else to lose. Wait, if Magneton survived, Lairon will survive. Don't forget, a multi-hit attack does 50%. Lairon does have better defense, and I need to save Magneton. I can't lose it. You can see I'm struggling. What if Lairon loses? Wing attack hits. Earthquake does less damage to Lairon. Unfortunately, Altaria is going to heal. And while I do half, that does mean I'm going to lose. Wait, it went for Dragon Dance. Iron Tail hit. We won. We didn't even lose Lairon. Wow, that was crazy good luck at the end there. I was fully prepared to lose Lairon. Altaria, maybe I should have knocked it out earlier, but hey, all in all, while losing Marshtomp and Tentacool very much suck, I said Winona would be tough. We didn't lose the Magneton. We didn't lose Lairon, which will become Aggron. All in all, somewhat bittersweet, but we are 6/8 of the way through the Gym Leader Challenge. And we will let Tentacool and Marshtomp join Zigzagoon, Numel, Lombre, and Breloom in the box for Infinite Losers. The next gym leader is Tate and Liza. We need to level up a fair bit, so I'm just going to head to Lily Cove City. I'm going to try and level up as many Pokemon as possible. We have this Manectric here. Shouldn't be a big deal. It's a 2-on-1. Thunderbolt's doing decent damage. We have Trapinch. Flygon's one of my favorite Pokemon. It uses Thunder, doesn't do very much damage. Sandtomb misses. That's not a big deal. We'll outspeed and knock it out. Okay, Hyper Potion, not a big deal. Doing about half. That time Sandtomb hit. Alright, we'll knock it out with Thunderbolt here. Wait, what? What? It was a speed... Oh my... It was a speed tie. We just lost Magneton to a Manectric. Wow. I don't have words. I mean, feeling justified not hacking in the rare candies. But we lost one of the best Pokemon. Guys, the final Elite Four member, the champion, is a Water-type trainer. I had a Steel typing, which is ultimately good defensively, and I lost it to a nothing trainer. That sucks. The level cap for Tate and Liza is 42, so we have a long way to go, especially since some of our longest running Pokemon have fainted. You can see I have a Gyarados here. It's very easy to get Magikarp. In fact, I don't even have 6 Pokemon right now. Another Manectric, so I guess you know what's about to happen here. Trapinch does have really good attack, and if I can get a Flygon, that will make some Earthquake strats pretty possible, which I'm very excited about. Fortunately, Lairon took a lot of damage from that Manectric, but we should be fine. I can swap into Absol, who has been an absolute beast. I'm very excited. Very, very good attack. And Hidden Power Rock, while not ideal, it's pretty good. Slash is doing a little bit more damage, though. And look at that. We were able to knock out this couple. We didn't lose any Pokemon. See, I faked you out. You thought I was going to lose a Pokemon here, but I didn't. And... Are you kidding me? I just lost Trapinch to a wild Pokemon. Oh my. I didn't even think of Nightshade on a wild Shuppet. By the way, I caught a Shuppet. Oh God. Surely that is going to be it for the very silly Pokemon I lose for no reason, right? So I caught a Ninetales here on Mount Pyre. Gonna knock out this Skitty. And Wobbuffet's always scary. I go for Surf. Counter doesn't do anything. I'm gonna go for Fire Blast, try to knock it out. Surf doesn't do the trick. Hopefully it doesn't go for Miracle. Destiny Bond is fine. I'm just gonna go for Flamethrower against Zigzagoon. Wait, what? Oh my god, it was 2 trainers. Oh my god! I tried to hit... I pressed left, guys. It was 2 trainers. They each used 3 Pokemon. I just lost Gyarados to Destiny Bond. I should have used Splash. I didn't count how many Pokemon had lost. And there, see, this is why it's only 1 Pokemon, because if it's 2 trainers, as opposed to 1 trainer, they can only use Pokemon that they have. Wow. So Gyarados, which I was using to replace Marshtomp, we lost the replacement. We might lose more Pokemon leveling up for Tate and Liza than we'll lose to Tate and Liza. You have to do more Team Magma stuff before you can beat Tate and Liza, or at least you should. I have Wailmer now, the replacement to the replacement. I go for Surf and Fire Blast. Unfortunately, Crobat confuses Ninetales, Mightyena hits with Scary Face, and Surf doesn't do very much because I'm only at level 34, and it does 50% less, just like that Air Cutter did. Surf's doing, like, okay as the damage racks up, but I don't want Ninetales to faint, so I'm going to swap into Lairon. Maxie's going to heal, and it goes for Wing Attack against Wailmer. I mean, again, a little bit of damage here, a little bit of damage there. I got to swap out Wailmer. I'll go into Geodude, which I literally caught right here. I don't really care if Geodude faints, because I can't use Golem, so Graveler is not that great. Swagger, if I hit with Iron Tail, that would be great, but I hit myself in confusion. I can't go for Magnitude. Don't want to go for Self-Destruct. I'll just try to use a Rock move against Crobat. They both attack Lairon, which is pretty good, but I miss with Rock Throw. Lairon's taking a lot of damage. I'm going to have to swap out, and Rock Throw doesn't do very much. I do swap out. In comes Tropius, which I'm a little nervous about, but Tropius isn't too good. Mightyena does knock out Geodude. And then Swagger hits Absol. If I hit now, Absol's going to hit like an absolute tank. But the question is if I hit. Wing Attack hits Absol, Slash hits Mightyena, and easy one-shot. Every Pokemon gains some experience there. Now out comes Camerupt. Strength hits Crobat, so it's a 2v1. And I'm just going to risk it here. If I hit with Slash, I'm going to win. Otherwise, I'm going to lose a Pokemon. I really don't want it to be Absol. But at the end of the day, 50-50 chance, I guess. Let's see. Yes! Oh, it doesn't knock it out, but Tropius does. So that is our 10th Pokemon to get knocked out. Not one we really had for very long, mind you. But still, that is going to put us in the double digits. And since I started that battle with Winona, we have lost 5 Pokemon, doubling our loss count. But surely that's our last loss before Tate and Liza, right? You're funny. You're funny. I battle this Elder that has a Machamp and a Manectric, and we're gonna lose a Pokemon here. But thankfully, it's not one that's very important. We're just gonna fast forward through. We end up losing a Pokemon I was gonna level up in a safe way, because I did want Blossom, but Vital Throw hits, and we lost Gloom, which isn't the end of the world. We do knock out the Machamp right after that. So 11 Pokemon down, but I wasn't ready to face this Bird Keeper right after. I didn't realize he would battle me so quickly, but thankfully, even with me being completely unprepared, we win and we don't lose another Pokemon to him. But surely we can't lose any more Pokemon before Tate and Liza, right? We have lost 6. We're fine. We're good. We've lost 11 total. Unfortunately, I messed up my order, so I have to switch out, which wastes a turn. And then Ninetales gets hit by Thunder and Surf. Iron Tail does not knock out the Linoone. I gotta swap. I swap into Tropius. Linoone is healed. Thunder then misses. I get Metal Claw. Attack grows. That's pretty good. I'm gonna try to knock out this Linoone as quick as possible. I get hit by Surf. Lairon survives, and we do knock out Linoon. So it's a 2v1. Easy peasy, right? Thunder hits and knocks out Lairon. So, yeah. That's annoying. It's been with me a pretty long time. But at the very least, that's all we're going to lose, right? We have our Absol. We get hit by Thunder and it crits. That was the Pokemon that was supposed to get me through Tate and Liza. And it's done. The Dark Pokemon. The Pokemon that also would have helped me with Phoebe. Lairon sucks, but we lost Absol. I am absolutely devastated right now. And there are multiple layers to disappointment. I can't catch another Absol. It's one of my favorite Pokemon. It was super useful on my team going forward. And now I need to find a replacement for Tate and Liza. And the only Pokemon that would fit that bill is Mightyena, which sucks. And that'll take me even more time to get it up to level 42. And that's where losing Pokemon just really stinks. I get why people use rare candies, but I've said this now 4 times. This is the reason why you just can't. Because this is part of the game, and this is the true Nuzlocke experience. You have to be so careful before every battle. You need to really know what you're doing. And if you play like I do in my solo runs and you're reckless, you can get punished. And by golly, I have been punished. Now, thankfully, I don't lose any more Pokemon before Tate and Liza, and this team is going to look totally different than what you've seen before. So we're going to use Wailord and Celio, which came from Shoal Cave. I'm going to go for Ice Beam and Surf. Xatu uses the Calm Mind. Earthquake doesn't do too much damage. Surf does decent damage to both. Ice Beam doesn't knock it out, but Xatu is frozen. Believe Tate and Liza have full restore, so it's not really a big deal. And we're going to just try to knock out the Claydol. I was wrong. It's a Hyper Potion. So Xatu can't do anything for the rest of battle. We knock out Claydol, but both Pokemon aren't doing great in terms of HP. But I don't really have anything better. I'm going to push forward. Solar Arc goes for Solar Beam, and that's going to take 2 turns, and it gets knocked out instantly by Surf. Ice Beam hits Lunatone, and I think that's the battle. I just go for double Surf and I win. Wait, is Lunatone faster? Oh, it is. I could have saved my Celio. Walrein would have been super useful. That is totally needless on my part. That was me just not thinking. Lunatone survives. We actually knock out Xatu. But Mightyena, which I've leveled all the way up to level 38, not even used. I could have swapped in. That was my fault, guys. That was totally bad. Walrein Ice-type would have been good against Drake. I don't know what Ice-type I can really use. There are a few more Pokemon I can catch, but at this point in the game, we have been to pretty much every available route. So there aren't that many more new Pokemon available for me to catch. There's a few, including Chinchou, hopefully, because that would be an electric Pokemon. I was unable to catch the Electrode in the Aqua Hideout. It used Self-Destruct. So an electric Pokemon will be good. I don't think I can catch any more ice Pokemon. We might have to be a little creative with the Elite Four, which is both kind of cool and also terrifying. Before we battle them, we need to battle the final gym leader, Discount Wallace, because I can pronounce that. And you can see my team. We have Tropius and now Starmie. Tropius, I will Magical Leaf the Whiscash and hopefully knock it out. Starmie does know Thunderbolt. We can buy that from the game corner. We've leveled up a lot, gone a lot of money. Tropius one-shots Whiscash. Now we have Celio. I'm going to need to swap out Tropius. And I also have Lantern, which is pretty cool. I'm going to swap into Lantern and Thunderbolt the Crawdaunt, knocking it out. It goes into Kingdra. Aurora Beam does nothing to Lantern. I'm going to go knock out Celio. And then I'll use Psychic against Kingdra. In fact, that happens first. Then I one-shot Celio with Thunderbolt. And now it is a 2-on-1. Although Kingdra did use Double Team, which is annoying. And now it put itself to sleep with the Chesto Berry. Very annoying strategy, but as long as I don't miss, which I do, it should be fine. It goes to sleep again. That gives me a lot of opportunities to knock this thing out. Starmie's outspeeding. Lantern is it. It keeps healing, but eventually this should happen. One more hit will knock it out. Of course, another Hyper Potion. That's okay. Now Lantern's turn to miss. We still haven't had a turn where both Pokemon connect with their attacks, but we don't need it. Kingdra stays asleep. We barely lose any HP, and we have made it past all of the Hoenn gym leaders, losing just 14 Pokemon, but we have done a double battle Nuzlocke. Of course, like in any challenge run, the Elite Four is the most difficult, and in case you are curious, how does the level cap work with the Elite Four? What I've been told is that it is the final Elite Four members, aka Drake's final Pokemon. And then you can level up more if you have rare candies after you defeat Drake. Drake's Salamence is at level 55, although according to the rule set I was given, you actually can be level 55 entering the Elite Four, which seems a little unfair until you think about the fact I will be under-leveled for what is supposed to be the hardest battle of the champion. Speaking of difficult battles, Wally in some ways will be a little bit more difficult because he has no type theme to his team, and that's going to be hard to match up against. Let's see how I do. This is a good time to introduce Sableye, which I caught in the Cave of Origin and had to level up. It is replacement for Absol, and Starmie you've already met. So I'm going to go for Brick Break against the Delcatty. Ice Beam knocks out Altaria. That's pretty good. It goes into Roselia. Sing misses. I don't one-shot Delcatty. Sableye doesn't have great stats. I use Psychic. One-shot Roselia. This is going pretty well. Magneton comes out. Delcatty goes for Calm Mind, but it's going to get knocked out with Brick Break. Very, very good so far. Gardevoir comes out. I'm going to go for Shadow Ball against Gardevoir. I'm going to swap into the Mightyena just in case Magneton uses Thunder or something. Gardevoir goes for Future Sight. It goes for Thunderbolt. Hits Mightyena. I'm going to just keep Mightyena in because I don't want to lose any other Pokemon. Going to try to knock out Gardevoir. Thunderbolt will knock out the Mightyena. I'm going to swap in Lantern, and that should knock out both Pokemon. I'm going to go for Shadow Ball because Gardevoir is going to heal again. Surf does decent damage. Thunderbolt against Sableye does really good damage. Lantern takes Future Sight. I might need to swap out Sableye here to Tropius. I should be fine, though. Gardevoir goes for Future Sight. Surf almost knocks out Magneton. Does knock out Gardevoir. Magneton goes for Thunderbolt. Tropius, I mean, it doesn't have great stats, but it took that pretty well. And probably Tropius is going to be what I need going forward. Speaking of which, this is the first Pokemon I've encountered in Victory Road, and it's a Hariyama. That is going to be my last Pokemon I can catch. So I use the Master Ball, and that's probably going to be part of my team. I'm thinking going to the Elite Four, my team is going to be Starmie, which we've seen, Lantern, which we've seen, Hariyama for Fighting type against Sydney, and that will replace Mightyena, which just fainted. And so if I don't lose any more Pokemon, we should be fine. Thankfully, leveling up Pokemon at this point is fairly safe. On Route 117, there are 2 trainers, Pokemon breeders, that can be rebattled infinitely. Their Pokemon are only level 31, but they are fully evolved. And I actually decide to make a small change to my team. I think I might use Ninetales. Even though Ninetales doesn't have a great matchup against some of the Elite Four members, it is a fairly powerful Pokemon. I actually would have rather caught a Meta-type, but that's not available in Emerald version. And if you think this looks tedious, it is. It is very tedious, and I need to level everything up until level 55. But I absolutely have to do this. There is no excuse to be hasty here. If you lose the entire run. That's almost 13 hours at this point. I'm not willing to throw that all away because I'm not willing to wait another hour or two to get everything to level 55. And so I do. 15 hours, 14 minutes, and 30 odd seconds. That's what it's taken me to get to this point. Our first run, lost at Watson. We have lost almost every Pokemon I'd hoped to use. Can the replacements beat the Elite Four? We only have one opportunity, and so let's hope we first try victory everything. Sydney sends out Mightyena and Shiftry. I knew the Intimidate was coming, so I sent out 2 special attackers. I have a good strategy. I go for Flamethrower and knock out Shiftry, and Tropius goes for Sunny Day. That will both allow me to use Solar Beam, and will make Fire Blast and Flamethrower stronger. Solar Beam misses, but Flamethrower knocks out Absol. That is a good Pokemon to knock out. Now we have another accuracy drop. I do decide to keep Tropius in. Solar Beam hits, knocks out Crawdaunt. The The next Pokemon is Cacturne. Flamethrower one-shots. So we just have Cacturne left. We have Aerial Ace. We have Flamethrower. No HP loss. This worked about as well as I'd hoped. Tropius, Ninetales, not Pokemon I even considered using when this run began, but absolutely demolished Sydney. Now, we need good Pokemon for Phoebe. Sableye is going to be useful, but what is going to be the second Pokemon to use? Don't forget, Dusclops has Pressure, and that can be really bad since some of our moves don't have a ton of power points. I need to think long and hard about what Pokemon I want to use and make sure I have enough power points for all the moves I want to use. I apologize for the increased speed, but I do want to show this battle was all done in one go, no saving and quitting, but it took me a long time to think about what I wanted to do, and in case you couldn't see what my team was, don't worry, it's going to be Sableye and Lantern. So I'm going to go for Shadow Ball against Banette because Dusclops uses Protect, Banette goes for Shadow Ball and does over half, but while Sableye moves last, it does one-shot Banette, so that's one down. Now I need to decide whether I want to try and save Sableye or whether it's worth risking it. I decide it's worth risking it. I don't really need Sableye past this battle. Protect fails, Surf does decent damage, and I knock out Sableye, so none of Phoebe's Pokemon are going to attack. Sableye outspeeds Dusclops, and the one on the right uses Protect. The one on the left is hit by Surf, and Shadow Ball knocks it out. But now we have to worry about Banette. Hopefully Banette does not one-shot Sableye. I could opt to switch. And you know what? I'm going to switch in Hariyama. Don't really see much of a need for it. And Surf will do decent damage. Another failed Protect. And we do over half. Rain is still falling. And I'm going to just go and switch into Ninetales here. It's probably the bulkiest Pokemon I have left, although I misclick a couple times. We're going to go for Surf. We knock out Banette. Dusclops is going to use Protect. That's going to whittle away my power points, but it's not going to even attack me. Flamethrower, Thunderbolt. We beat Phoebe without losing a Pokemon again. I thought for sure either Sableye or Hariyama would be knocked out, but neither were as we make our way to Glacia, the Ice-type master, and the reason I actually wanted Hariyama because it has Thick Fat. That means ice moves will do 50% of what they otherwise would do. I'm going to go for Hariyama and Ninetales, but I need to be careful because some of Glacia's Pokemon are also water Pokemon, and we don't want to lose Ninetales. But anyway, once again, after finishing all my preparation, I'm ready to battle Glacia, who leads with Celio and Glalie. Vital Throw is my best attack, but it always moves last. Flamethrower one-shots Glalie, but don't worry, Celio always goes for Hail, and Vital Throw will one-shot. Now, Ninetales isn't going to do very much damage against Walrein. I also kind of pause here because I forgot that Ninetales is allowed to level up, and I thought I just ruined the run. But I didn't. So, I'm going to Vital Throw the Walrein here, but I probably need to swap Ninetales and bring in Lantern. Lantern is pretty good defensively, so I'm not too worried. It actually body slams Hariyama, and I get double-edged against Lantern, both of which are doing fairly okay. Walrein uses Citrus Berry, and I'm actually going to Thunderbolt. It doesn't heal, so we knock out Walrein, and Celio uses Attract but against Lantern, and thus Hariyama is able to use Vital Throw, and once again we've put ourselves in a 2v1 situation with a Glalie that can't do very much. We had a Citrus Berry of our own on Hariyama, and it's going to finish off Glalie with Vital Throw. We have made it to the final member of the Elite Four, Drake. We have not lost a single Pokemon. This has gone about as well as I could have hoped. But Drake has a Salamence. He has Flygon, which is one of my favorite Pokemon. Also a really good YouTuber who does Nuzlocks. Check him out. And he would be very disappointed, both in that I didn't get a Flygon, and if I lose the run here. I need to be careful. Both Lantern and Starmie have Ice Beam, but my other Pokemon aren't going to be super good against Drake. Not only am I going to need them against Drake, but also against Wallace. Very scary battle, but only one way to find out whether I'll be victorious. Altaria and Shelgon are the leading Pokemon. I'm going to go for Ice Beam. Going to have Starmie Ice Beam the Altaria, and Lantern, which is slower, Ice Beam Shelgon, which could in fact go for Protect. It does. Ice Beam one-shots Altaria though, so that's one down. Next comes Flygon. We're going to do Ice Beam against Flygon from Starmie because it's faster, and I'm actually going to switch, just in case, into Tropius because I don't want Lantern to take an Earthquake. So Ice Beam does hit first. That was good. And that knocks out Flygon. Salamence uses Intimidate. That's fine. Rock Tomb hits Tropius. That's fine. We're going to use Ice Beam, and I'm going to swap out into Hariyama because Salamence knows Flamethrower. Ice Beam, however, does one-shot Salamence. And the last Pokemon is Kingdra. Starmie is unfortunately hit with a Rock Tomb. It's going to Ice Beam Shelgon, still outspeeding everything, which is pretty good. Kingdra goes for Dragon Dance. Hariyama goes for Vital Throw. Dragon Dance I'm not too worried about because it's a special attack that's a little more scary. Body Slam does paralyze Starmie, but after Ice Beam Vital Throw, Hariyama, my final Pokemon I caught in a Master Ball, knocks out Kingdra and takes me to the champion. We have great Pokemon for the champion. Starmie knows Thunderbolt. Tropius is a grass type. Heck, we even have Sunny Day Solar Beam. This could be a really, really good battle, but we also could easily lose. We're underleveled. We do have a couple rare candies, though. Even though Lantern is the electric type, I'm going to use them on Starmie, who's a little bit faster, a little more utilitarian. This is it, guys. Am I going to beat my very first Nuzlocke? Probably one of the first double battle Nuzlockes ever done on YouTube. Let's do it. Wallace leads with Tentacruel and Wailord. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to Psychic Tentacruel, Thunderbolt Wailord. Psychic does not knock out Tentacruel, but Toxic misses. Thunderbolt doesn't knock out Wailord. Double Edge doesn't do a lot, and it doesn't even knock out Wailord. Wallace is going to heal. Full Restore on Wailord, but not on Tentacruel. So we knock it out. Ludicolo comes out next. Wailord doesn't have a lot of HP remaining, and I need to decide what I want to do here. This is a bad matchup for my Pokemon. Do I want to knock out Wailord and risk losing a Pokemon? Or do I want to be very conservative and swap? At the end of the day, I decide I'm going to swap Lantern into Tropius because I'm more worried about losing Lantern. It was a tough decision. I went back and forth, but Wallace also makes a swap, which you can see absolutely stuns me, and this is going to work really, really well. Now that Whiscash is out, Tropius has a great matchup against both of these Pokemon. Starmie has an okay matchup. We're going to use Psychic against Ludicolo and Giga Drain against Whiscash. Psychic does about a third, but Giga Drain one-shots Whiscash, and I think we're going to win this. Ludicolo, it uses Double Team. I'm going to use Starmie to knock out Wailord. It heals. I don't think Thunderbolt's a one-shot, but Aerial Ace cannot miss. Starmie gets seeded by Leech Seed, but that's okay. We're going to use Thunderbolt, and I'm also going to be a little aggressive, setting up Sunny Day in case I want Ninetales. My Milotic comes out, the final Pokemon. Ludicolo goes for Giga Drain. Starmie has a Citrus Berry. Probably should swap it out. And I'm going to swap into Ninetales and use Solar Beam. Now that I've set up Sunny Day, it does a ton of damage, but my Milotic survives. Goes for Ice Beam. Tropius survives. Giga Drain does nothing to Ninetales. My Milotic Citrus Berry activates. I'm going to go for Flamethrower against Ludicolo. And I'm going to Solar Beam my Milotic. That's going to knock out my Milotic. All that's left is Ludicolo and Gyarados. We have Lantern for Gyarados. Flamethrower hits but does not knock out Ludicolo. That really sucks. Ludicolo uses Surf, but it does very little to both Ninetales and Tropius. The Sunlight is strong. I could swap out Tropius, but I think I'm going to be aggressive here. Wallace goes for Full Restore. Tropius uses Aerial Ace. That's guaranteed to hit. Overheat misses. Gyarados knocks out Tropius with Hyper Beam, but that gives me a free swap into Lantern. I'm going to go for Flamethrower and Thunderbolt. Flamethrower hits. Ludicolo is burned. Thunderbolt hits. Gyarados was needing to recharge. Ludicolo uses Leech Seed, but I think it's a little too late, especially with that burn. And both Sableye and Hariyama have moves that never miss. So even though Wallace has a full restore, it's too little, too late. I'm going to keep going for Overheat. Overheat hits. Surf hits. Does not knock out Ninetales. Crits against Hariyama. But Vital Throw delivers the final blow. And we have beaten Hoenn in a double battle. Hardcore Nuzlocke. Took me 2 attempts. I lost 16 valued Pokemon. Well, I guess Zigzagoon wasn't. 15 valued Pokemon in a level 3 Zigzagoon. But this was a ton of fun. And I know, every time I do an Emerald video, you guys want me to battle Steven. So this time I did. Bonus content. Steven sends out Skarmory and Claydol. I go with the dynamic duo of Lantern and Starmie. I'm going to go for double Surf. It does just under half to Claydol. The second Surf does not knock out Claydol, but Earthquake doesn't knock out Lantern. It is a really good double team because Skarmory doesn't get hit by Earthquake. It's almost like that's intentional. Steven uses a full restore on Claydol. Surf hits Skarmory, doesn't knock it out. Thunderbolt does knock out Skarmory. I thought Skarmory would heal. That's okay. The next Pokemon is Aggron. I'm going to be aggressive, go for the double Surf. Aggron gets hit, Claydol gets hit, but we do outspeed, so we knock out both. And now it's a fresh team. 3v6. Metagross, Credilli. Not a great matchup for my Pokemon. Do I want to switch? Heck yes, I do. If you surf anywhere in Hoenn, you can catch a Pelipper, so we're going to actually use it. We did lose Tropius. Shadow Ball hits Starmie, but it somehow survives until Giga Drain. Starmie, I'm really sorry. I shouldn't have done this. But now we have Ninetales, and I think this combination should work. Gonna go for Hydro Pump, and I'm gonna go for Flamethrower. Flamethrower hits. It does not knock out Metagross. Hydro Pump hits. Does not knock out Credilli. Psychic hits. Doesn't do that much. And I think we've got this. Steven used a full restore. I'm going to go for Overheat. He actually full restores Credilli as well. Ninetales hits itself in Confusion. Surf hits, so that means I can go for Flamethrower, actually. I don't hit myself in Confusion. Knock out Metagross. Pelipper is going to use Surf. Hit Armaldo. Hit Credilli. It uses Ingrain. We got this, guys. We so got this. Overheat does not knock out Credilli, but Surf knocks out Armaldo. It knocks out Credilli, and that is it. Thank you guys for watching. I beat Steven. I lost 17 Pokemon. Really sad about Starmie, but there are no more trainers to battle. I have done everything I possibly can, and I will see you all in the next video. Take care.